Hi guys, it's me again, and today I'll be talking about the recent suggested balance changes posted by Valve on the 20th of June 2017. By now you probably know the deal with these changes, none of them are guaranteed, these are all just suggestions, etc, etc. I won't actually mention the numbers of what the suggested changes are here, since I feel like it would drag out the video a lot more, and I imagine everyone who sees this will know what I'm talking about anyway, so let's go! Starting with the multi-class panic attack, I like the new design. The issue of not being able to fire off the weapon most classes use as fallback in a sticky situation was frustrating at best. And while I don't think I'll be mainlining the new panic attack, I'll be far more interested in it now since it has no bullet spread. Up next in the class order is Scout, who I actually like a lot of the changes for. The Guillotine and Sandman was always a sort of hidden item set that were used so well with each other that using one without the other felt like you handicapped yourself. Being able to use the cleaver as long range spam and getting new ones over and over is an interesting reward for those who can aim the thing, and the Sandman thankfully isn't as frustrating to be hit by. The pocket pistol getting some more utility by giving more significant amount of health back for those who can aim is a really nice side grade to get some sustainability instead of damage from the normal pistol. Atomizer is a bat I use a lot and always felt was a little bit unfair, so I'm happy it becomes more of a passive map traversal tool rather than something you'd want to use in an actual fight. I'm kind of unsure how to feel about the bonk, since it can still be used to just escape any situation as long as you have a second to drink it, but I'm happy that I won't see bonk scouts tanking 3 sentries worth of damage unpunished though. Having a personal invincibility will always be hard to balance after all. And lastly, the Criticola, which I feel will still be too strong for competitive play where it's just assumed people have really good aim, and a scout with his wits about him will probably find a way to trade his life for a medic 9 times out of 10 with the thing, but at least its effect is interesting, where you're not directly penalized by using the item, but only when you take use of the item's effect. Up next is a soldier who in this post only has 2 suggested changes, which I care pretty little for personally, but let's at least mention them. The base jumper was never something I cared for a whole lot, so I don't know if there's something that's horribly broken with it or what, but I suppose the changes aren't too bad. Still functions pretty much the same, and it lets you hover in the air to get high ground on a class with splash damage wherever you are, so I suppose it shouldn't let you move too much. And I think the man-threads will still just be paired with the rocket jumper forever, which is such a terrible thing to use in normal gameplay. The boots of potential, as I like to call them, will forever be a meme weapon, but it does have the best sound effect in the game, so I'm kind of on the fence about it. As for my own suggestion to the weapon, I would like to see the man-threads available for both soldier and demoman, and maybe grant some defenses to damage while in the air. This way you could launch into the air and not only be pretty much immune to knockback, but you would have a bit more resistance to the damage you take as well. No idea if that would be too strong or weird, but if that was the case, I'd certainly use them a lot more. And while there are no Pyro news on this page, I'll throw you a suggestion I have for the extinguisher I have mulling around in my brain for a while. The power to crit is a very strong one, and I feel that even if the old extinguisher, which could do full damage crits whenever someone was on fire, was way too strong, I still like the combo potential it unlocked. So my idea is this. Have the weapon become something that you use as a way to burst damage just like before and now, but have it be a last resort to bring it out. Letting the damage stats be the same as now is fine, I feel. Dealing 130 damage on a crit is strong, and I find that people right now mostly hate the swing speed and bring out delay. My suggestion is to have the axe be brought out at normal speed, be brought back at very slow speed, and maybe have a somewhat slow swinging speed, but the drawback being that when you hit someone who's fired, you extinguish them. This will let the Pyro deal 1 large chunk of health at 130 damage, but then be stuck with the extinguisher at a weaker state. Heavy is up next with a change to all his miniguns, which lets him have accuracy and damage worth carrying about by just revving up instead of having to actually shoot for a full second to get. The hidden mechanic was always a bit strange to keep track of in your head, and I'm happy it's set to just revving rather than shooting. I walk around revved far more than I walk around shooting at least, so having the accuracy and damage to help me when I get jumped will be a nice thing to have at hand, and I feel like it will make heavy feel stronger just in general, so maybe more players will actually use him. The gloves are running urgently and eviction notice are becoming more like the old gloves, which is neat I suppose, since the gloves in competitive play could be used without a downside. In competitive play you have a lot more control and information over where the enemy is, so being ambushed while you're using the gloves and being marked for death would never really come into play. I personally have never played with the life-draining mechanic of the old gloves, but I'm interested to see how it can change the rollout on some maps for heavy, or maybe even have some nice synergies with the Locos bar. The Fist of Steel gave you a stupid amount of health that you could just sit on the payload cart with and never die unless someone dared running up to you with their own melee, so it's a nice change. And another weapon suggestion from me is for the Soviet flamethrower, which I like to call it. The fire ring is cool and all, but I would like to see the gun having a bit more of a unique look and function to it. My suggestion would be that the heavy would have a secondary ammo pool. This secondary ammo pool would let the heavy shoot a gout of fire, much like the flamethrower, may be equal to like 20 ammo from a normal flamethrower. As well as this, you could be able to fire both minigun bullets and the flames at the same time, which would produce incendiary bullets. These bullets would deal fire damage and normal bullet damage, but it wouldn't ignite players on fire when they're hit by them. Last thing we want is for the heavy to be able to tamper with sniper aim and spy check effectively across the map. This would be more used for a sort of burst damage, where maybe you push in with an Uber or ambush a group of players and mow them down with superior, dare I say it, fire power. It would be situationary at best, and an extra aid to spy checking when pyros aren't near you. As a compensation you would maybe carry half the normal ammo for your minigun, or possibly a slower firing speed. Not sure what the downside will be, but I think my flamethrower minigun idea is cool at least. Another thing I would like to see changed about the heavy is the way he receives ammo from payload carts. Right now, one of the worst things I know is seeing 5 heavies on cart non-stop shooting in every direction because there's nothing stopping them from doing so. And I feel like a change that maybe has the heavy get half as much ammo, or maybe he gets ammo half as often from the payload cart, that would at least make the ammo pool on your minigun deplete at a faster rate than you get it. Just something that would force you to stop shooting once in a while, or at least move from the cart to pick up ammo somewhere. Engineers requiring metal for the Rescue Ranger is a long-awaited fix in my opinion, and I almost feel like the cost for repairing should be higher than what's suggested, since it gives you the ability to heal at range, while normally you would have to be right next to the building with your wrench. Right now with the suggested stats, the wrench is a more expensive and risky way to repair the building, so I wouldn't mind seeing the Rescue Ranger be more expensive of a tool to use, since it gives you so many benefits. The Vita Saw becoming a rip-off Islander is so interesting to me. Not only do I hope we actually get to see the organs you harvest pierced on the needle itself, but I can see this working out very well with the Vaccinator. The stock medigun will always be best used with the Uber Saw, I believe, but the Vaccinator being able to pop so often, you don't really feel like an Uber Saw swing is all that cool, since it gives you more of a mini Uber that you will probably pop instantly anyway. I can see this being cool, however, if you try to collect organs from spies or other greedy people running at you, so you can come out the gate with potentially 2 vaccinator charges ready to go. Interesting stuff to say the least. And as a little minor extra thing, it's nice that the Crusader's crossbow also plays with the same rules as the other healing gadget. The sniper changes are great, I really like them, good on ya Valve. And here we go, Spy. Oh boy, these changes are... God, they're just fucking... God, they're so totally okay in concept. Let's dive in. First off, I want to say that I like the Dead Ringer change. Way too often I felt like I was the only person on the team who even knew that the guy with the Dead Ringer existed, so I became the solo spy killer the entire game just to have a chance at winning. Having the Dead Ringer take ages to refill is a very nice change, even if somewhere deep inside I kind of feel like it might be a bit too much to have no ammo be able to refill your cloak, but I hope it turns out well. Even if the Dead Ringer right now is pretty much the worst thing of all time to fight against, I don't want the weapon that interesting to be nerfed into oblivion and never see play again. The Ambassador. Oh boy, this is a hot topic, isn't it? Personally, I never used the Ambassador because I never really cared for the thing. It's not that I'm unable to land headshots, it's more that whenever I'm in a sticky situation and I get a random headshot, I feel like scum. And whenever I land one by aiming and being careful, I might as well play sniper or stab the dude I'm aiming for. And while I don't know exactly how these numbers will play out, I do like the idea of the weapon being more suited for close to medium range rather than be just as accurate as a sniper rifle. However Valve goes around accomplishing this is up to them, since I have no clue how to do it apart from simply having the bullet disappear after traveling a certain distance, which probably wouldn't work, but also would be a really odd outlier to literally all other hit scan weapons. So, in conclusion, not sure about the numbers, but I like the concept. Your Eternal Reward is a knife I honestly never used, but always wanted to because it looks rad as hell and it has a very interesting mechanic to it. The extra disguise will be helpful to get out of those heavy disguises you get and hate. The thing I see people getting caught up on the most is the 50% increased cloak drain rate, which sounds really severe, but I'll do a little math for you and show that it isn't the worst thing in the world, honestly. So assuming we have the stock invisibility watch, which I imagine will be the best use with the new Eternal Reward, the math will go like this. At 10 seconds of full stock invisibility bar, the normal drain rate is 1 second per second, so after 10 seconds the bar will be depleted. If we increase this by 50%, we get that the watch will drain 1.5 seconds per second for 10 seconds. This means that in 2 seconds it will have drained 3 seconds worth of cloak, which gives us this division and leaves us with 6.67 seconds left. And since TF2 likes to round up numbers that have decimals, it will give you 7 seconds full of cloak with the Eternal Reward equipped. This is equal time to running a full length with the cloak and dagger, or the same amount of time the Dead Ringer gives you for when you trigger a feint. It really does look worse on paper than it actually is, and since the Invis Watch and Eternal Reward doesn't have any penalties to picking up ammo boxes while still invisible, I think it will be a very viable weapon. Worth noting also is that with the Eternal Reward you basically absorb the ammo pack from people you kill, so if you use your full cloak bar to get a disguise and kill someone, you already have half a cloak bar again. So that has been this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you care about this, please tell Valve. I'll be sending a bit more condensed version of my script for this video to Valve so they can read what I think in case they don't watch the video, which I totally understand if they don't. If you care, if you have any opinions on the subject matter, on these changes or any other changes for weapons, mechanics, etc., just tell them. It's what they want. That's what they asked for. So let's help the game and let's help Valve help us make a better game for us. So thank you so much. See ya.